All right. Welcome back everyone to the latest episode ng Deep Dive para magkaroon na naman tayo ng mga gulo at baka kung sino-sino naman magka-quote sa atin without mentioning saan galing yung mga quotes na yan. Kasama natin ulit si Attorney Christina Conte. I'm glad this time not joining her from the airport in Mary Grace restaurant. Kahit pa paano nakalusot tayo. Now I'm joining you from my goodness, ang parang Mediterranean London. Like, ang init pala bigla ngayon. Ang dami namin mga pinag-usapan dito sa London. Of course, many people here are super interested about what's happening in the Philippines. Shout out sa foreign office people dito sa London for great consultations and all. Now, without spilling more beans, let's spill other people's beans. Okay, so basically today, there are a couple of things na gusto natin pag-usapan. Unang-una is yung development sa case ni Harry Roque or lack of development on the case of Harry Roque. Gusto natin pag-usapan. We're gonna have soon, hopefully, Attorney Dina De Leon to also talk about the case of Ma'am Leila De Lima and how is that gonna affect her assumption of office as Congressman-elect for Mamamayan Liberal. But before that, of course, before talking about Harry Roque, a very, very important person, pag-usapan natin si Mr. Work from Hague. Hindi na work from home, work from Hague. Attorney Conti, anong basa mo with Rodrigo Duterte winning, I don't know what, 80-90% of the votes, nagpalakpakan lahat. And is that, parang bumoto sila sa cardboard? Ano bang, ano bang what is your read of that? Because your good friend, Mr. Kaufman, apparently political analyst na rin pala siya sa Philippines. I won't be surprised next thing we know, baka may vlog na siya about Philippine politics. Sabi niya, this election is, this support for Duterte is a clear rejection of the ICC arrest. Ano pong basa niya dito sa mga kaguluhan na nangyari or kabuluhan na nangyari sa Pilipinas?
Well, for me, you have to take it as it is. It is simply the people voting another Duterte and solidifying, cementing the Duterte dynasty. Almost 3 decades or more of the Duterte dynasty. Six or 5 people from his family plus one dun sa party list, di ba? Na nanalo. So talaga wala. What it means is that they love the Dutertes there. And from what I understand, ang intindi ng tao dito is it's a popularity contest. That's what they think of it. It's a popularity contest, sinong pinakasikat or sinong sinusuportahan nila as their leaders, quote unquote. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same as to are these the performers or are these the people who will deliver services to you? Kasi correct yan, na parang would you believe that people voted someone who is unable to perform the functions? Although of course, may ganyan tayong track record
But
na even
sabi
in the
nila kung
Senate.
may bato, may papel din. I mean, if you have for bato, you're also for papel cardboard mayor. Sorry,
Ano ba to, Jack and Poy? Bato-bato pick. Eh di sino ang scissors niyan? Sino ang magugunting sa lahat ng yan para matalo mo yung ganung framework? But in any case, ang siste, they love, hindi nga lang like they love the Duterte family in Davao. Very relatable. They think that the Duterte family can help them. Unfortunately, hindi naman yon batayan para sabihin na ito ba yung makakapagserbisyo sa inyo. And number two, hindi nun mapapatawad yung crimes against humanity na attributed to the Duterte family. Mas sasama ko na nga not only Rodrigo Duterte, but also Sara Duterte, and by extension, Bongo. Parang adopted son niyang si Bongo eh. So, unfortunately, it was just a popularity poll. And again, pwedeng sabihin natin, you cannot have kung in terms of Duterte, you cannot have the Davao people. Sabihin na natin, pagpapatawad yon, you cannot have the Davao people forgive Rodrigo Duterte for crimes that he committed nationwide. The question simply was, iboboto mo ba siyang mayor? Pero hindi naman sinasabing, boboto mo ba siyang mayor at pinapatawad mo or inaakwit mo ba sa crimes against humanity? Hindi din naman siya survey or hindi naman siya tanong na, do you agree with the killings or do you agree that he should answer or be tried in The Hague for this? So walang ganon dun sa balota.
Counter argument will be, well, we spoke about the cardboard papel mayor. Let's talk about Bato. Senator Bato de la Rosa said that I don't know, 20 million votes for him was also a rejection of, well, I think he was implying incoming warrant of arrest for him. So siya naman tumakbo naman national daw. So how do you read that?
Well, again, hindi rin pagpapatawad. It's not on the ballot. So even if we say 20 million Filipinos said, well, we support Bato de la Rosa, as senator, because, and this is thinking, kumbaga, in the best sense of the Filipino, because he will be able to put in great laws in the Senate. Iboboto namin siya, we will support him. But it does not mean pinapatawad namin siya dun sa mga krimen or dun sa involvement niya sa crimes against humanity, sa war on drugs. And to an extent, but this has to be studied, yung sympathy votes, Filipinos have always loved the underdog. So, kumbaga pelikula, dito kami sa parang kawawa. Tapos parang pelikula, aabangan mo, this is not the end, kumbaga. So, inaabangan nila, paano kaya ito? And we've always loved putting, kumbaga, pieces on the chessboard na, oh sige, pag ganito, di ba? Nakaabang lahat yan. Okay, anong nangyari? Pagsamahin lahat yan. Oh, sinong magsasabunutan? Sinong mag-uupakan? So, feeling ko ang inaabangan yung showdown tungkol dun sa pag-aresto. Kasi nga naman, mas exciting kung sitting senator. And on the converse, pwede ding iniisip ng iba, baka makaproteksyon kay Bato if they so love him, baka makaproteksyon sa kanya na nakaupo siyang senador. Unfortunately, legally, hindi. Eh, maski nga presidente ka, sitting president, walang immunity na kikilalanin sa ICC. I would agree or to some extent, I will concede na yung political aspect because you're a sitting senator, nakakabasos naman kung in the middle of the session, huhulihin ka ng PNP. May ganong political complexion, but then maraming pwedeng mangyari. There are just too many moving boards on the chessboard.
Well, I mean,
Moving pieces on the chessboard.
Jesus, yeah. Um, moving batos on the chest. But I mean, ang point ko lang naman dyan is kung ganyan ang logic mo, well, Bam Aquino got more votes than Bato. So does that mean you get what I'm saying? It's a ridiculous argument. I don't think Bam was voted to protect Bato from ICC. You know, like yeah. So it just means people vote for people for 1,000 different reasons, right? Um,
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, like, so I was on TV5 sabay nung na-interview si Senator Bongo, right? And interestingly, he didn't mention anything about ICC or he just mentioned yung malasakit issue, education issue. So you see, even si Bongo, no, he was focusing on the non-contentious issue, which I think is his secret to success, di ba? Why he's doing
Actually, so
message discipline.
regard, no, regarding that, yung difference pa nga ng approach ni Bato and then ni Bongo, Bongo really banked on malasakit. Kaya that's why he won, parang ganon. Pero si Bato kasi, what was his platform? Halos wala. Sumayaw ba siya? Or
Parang
something? Halos wala. He's called for law and order, but he had no specific plans. Unlike before, lagi niyang sinasabi, war on drugs, I will help you, yeah, law and order. Pero ngayon, parang halos wala. And his platform was really to support and to bring home Tatay Digong. Kaya hindi ko pa again, maraming factors and you have all these people voting for our candidates for senator with different motivations.
Yeah, exactly. So it will be very self-serving. I don't know kay sa ating mga new political analysts like si Attorney Kaufman. It would be quite simplistic to reduce everything to this. I mean, I won't be surprised next year si Kaufman meron na siyang libro about Philippine democratic struggles and I mean, I thought Harry was the man. Yung pala meron pala mas Harry kay Harry. But speaking of bring home, balikan ko ulit yung ICC soon. Just let's do a intermission number na lang si Harry. And nabalikan ko yung ICC on a more serious note. Si Harry may message siya kanina, may tweet siya kanina na gagamitin niya itong warrant of arrest laban sa kanya as a proof talaga na siya po ay politically persecuted, not prosecuted, but persecuted. Ano ba to? Hanash lang ba niyan? Or do you think he can, legally speaking, actually leverage this?
Well, he can leverage this. It really depends on how you kumaga appreciate the case. Kasi on one side, talagang may kaso siya. And why did he have this case? Yun naman, dun magkakatalo. Bakit ka kinasuhan? So, let's compare, for example, Laila de Lima versus Harry Roque's case. In Laila de Lima's case, why suddenly, out of nowhere, you have a former DOJ secretary and senator being accused of drug peddling, ganyan, or toddler ng drug lord? It's because she was against the war on drugs. Harry Roque can say the same. It was because he was against the Marcos administration's, I don't know what exactly, pero the Marcos mismo, yung paggamit niya ng, or yung drug use. So, parang similar. But then, um, problem dito, it would come to some appreciation of evidence. In the case of Laila de Lima, ang problema at that point, diba, nung final yung case, merong nagsalita. At hindi pa natin nadama nun or wala pa kaagad sumingaw nun na peke o kaya magre-retract tong mga nagsalita. Pero actually fishing na nung simula kasi these were detained persons. Ito yung mga nakakulong na under the control of the administration then. And it turned out na yun nga, ginamit na leverage yung pagkakakulong nila na sige na, magsabi ka ng ganito para kami bahala sa'yo sa loob o kaya bababa yung sentensya. Yung mga ganong quid pro quo. In the case of Harry Roque, I don't know what he's going to kumbaga show as evidence na parang peke o imbento yung mga charges. Considering that some or actually most of the evidence against him were ano ba to, came up in legislative investigations from different people and from well-documented sources. He could also say na eventually napilitan lang ng mga yan, etc. Pero as in the case of De Lima, time will tell kung kailan talaga babaliktad kung sakasakali yung mga yan. So he can use those, pero there is a line. Kumbaga, you shouldn't cross this line na parang I am seeking refuge or I am politically persecuted, pero actually, you're just evading law and order in your particular country. One thing that's different between them is that De Lima faced her charges head on. Si Harry Roque has evaded it entirely and has never, ito lang has never presented himself before the courts, has never submitted anything, I think, to respond to the charges. And this, let's check kung meron ba na siyang nasabi tungkol dito sa charges, aside from the general denials. Parang ganon. Kasi si De Lima at the time, she had statements na hindi, it was impossible for me to do that because I was this. Imposibleng ganito ko yan. Hindi totoo yan. Malicious ito. At this point, I wasn't here. So meron siyang namount na some sort of credible defense. In Harry's case, I haven't heard a particular denial.
So habang si Leila hinarap niya yung issue, si Harry ay humaharap. Si Harry ay habang nagtutulips-tulips si Harry, si Leila not only hinarap niya, she also turned down on multiple occasions the opportunity, 'di ba, to kind of whisk her way away kasi parang inoffer siya ng basically a deal, 'di ba, kung saan medyo admit niya yung ano niya, pero let her get out ganun. Hindi, talagang she did go all the way. And naalala ko nung nakausap ko siya nung 2018-19 sa detention center, handa daw siya for, kung if ever, I mean, back then kung tinanong mo, will Duterte be in power? Sasabihin mo, it's 1,000 years of Duterte, right? Kasi 90% approval, wala kang makitang alternative. So this is the huge difference aside from the fact na yung isa, well, let's talk about this. What did exactly the Court of Appeals do here? Because there are many different interpretations. Of course, some people are talking about, a former Solicitor General was talking about parang double jeopardy. Others were talking about na this doesn't necessarily nullify yung parang yung kanyang acquittal, is just a technical matter that has to be addressed by the regional trial court. What is your read, Attorney Conde, before I ask officially yung team ni Ma'am Leila de Lima and Attorney De Leon in particular to spell out their theory of the case?
Well, looking from the outside in, from what I understand, and this has happened to me as well, the decision was, well, quote unquote, reversed in the sense that it was remanded to the regional trial court na ayusin yung dokumento, ayusin yung decision. It was not an outright reversal na parang, oh, hindi siya acquitted. Parang ganon. So it was just the manner of handing out the decision, but not the decision itself. So, uh, may ganito talaga na may mali yung paraan, pero tama naman yung, kumbaga, yung ending. Kaya I would say na still acquitted siya. Siguro they can explain the technicalities of this, but it was yung ano kasi error in the jurisdiction of the court, grave abuse of discretion because etc. Pero it was something that kumbaga an error attributed to the judge but not exactly to the decision. Parang ganon.
Right. So
So
parang censure siya ng how the judge arrived at the result rather
at the
than the
decision,
agent of the decision itself. Therefore,
yeah,
Layla's case still is acquitted, basically, right?
yeah. So it wasn't on the evidence essentially. It wasn't per se na mali yung appreciation mo ng ebidensya, pero parang ang sinasabi daw and I've only looked at actually I haven't seen the decision, it hasn't been uploaded, but from kailangan verified sources or reliable sources, they've lifted up quotes from the decisions. At parang yun yung sinasabi, yun yung tono, that the decision has to be written better, pero the ending, ganun pa rin.
Okay. Obviously, this raises another important question. The timing. I mean, it's just as election is over. I heard the version na April 30 pa daw lumabas to, ngayon lang lumabas sa media. But then again, like it's not like April 30 was a million miles away from the election time. Um, and then it's just as Leila de Lima is expected to join the prosecution team against, Vice President Sara potentially, di ba? Kasi may dalawang biglang bumukas. I don't know, it was like almost a. I mean, we were talking about it during elections. Now, wouldn't it be nice to have Chel Joke na Leila join it? And then exactly dalawang natalo, dalawang bumukas. But I don't know. So in short, is this a coincidence? Is this like a curious case, if I can put it that way? Of course, we don't wanna besmirch our judicial institutions. Baka mawalan tayo ng ano dyan. But again, do we have cases like this before na biglang ganyan na lumalabas na biglang technically kina-question ng isang court of appeals yung phrasing, yung ano the I don't know the packaging of the decision, if I can put it that way in layman terms. May precedents ba tayo nito, and what do the precedents says tell about what could happen here most likely, or what is the best strategy for team of Ma'am Leila?
Well, I would have to check as to precedents, yung sa exact kumbaga circumstances, because Leila de Lima is Leila de Lima. Parang
Sui generis.
if you compare it to the case of somebody else, baka hindi on all fours. Pero I would say na yung curious, the timing would be curious. Kasi nga, bakit ngayon na parang binabawi yung saya o yung balita na, oh, wow, she's now part of the, no, but she's, her case has, kumbaga, her case has been remanded back to the RTC. So, wag kayong masyadong magpakasaya. I've seen others point out that the justices are Duterte appointees, but I haven't verified that. All these, I would ask people to, kumbaga, preno muna, hold on to, kasi until hindi naman malinaw yung basis, it would be hard to, kumbaga, cast aspersions upon the motivations of the justices or kung ano man yan. Mas siguro yung timing. So, I guess Dino and team could better explain kung April 30 ba talaga nakuha na nila to, or ngayon lang
Yeah.
talaga, or release lang ba to. And in fact, meron din kaming minsang mga kaso na yung antedating of documents. That could have also been the case. It really was, kumbaga, released today, but it was actually kumbaga, decided before talaga. Or natapos lang talaga yung pagsusulat ngayon, pero kumbaga the decision April 30 pa talaga. Pero ngayon lang natapos yung kumbaga pagsusulat. But it was
Meron
affirmed
bang
by the
naging
entire.
ganyan, Attorney Conti? Meron bang maraming ganyang cases kung saan nire-reprimand basically or nire-remand ng higher court sa lower court yung konteksto or yung phrasing or yung technicalities ng isang decision without necessarily reversing or questioning the decision?
Ako, very few cases. Kanina nga tinitingnan ko
Kaya
yung
nga, again, very,
tenor ng
very
decision. But
exceptional.
there are. There are. Even the Supreme Court has done so. Parang we remand this to the ganito to look at this decision to ayos. Pero ah ako, ang nakikita ko pa nga, one possible intention would be the Court of Appeals is ensuring that the decision is, kumbaga, airtight, foolproof. Hindi mo na maa-assail. Kumbaga, ibalik nyo na, ayusin nyo na muna, and then later on, kung sakaling may appeal, edi at least maayos na. And for me, any correction or self-correction of the judiciary is welcome. Kasi na-pinpoint ng isang higher organ, higher entity, yung kumbaga, quote-unquote error or irregularity or discrepancy ng lower court. So, better yan kaysa sa pagdating mo sa Supreme Court, final na yun. At ang sasabihin ng Supreme, sorry, technical ka na eh. Pangit yung pagkakagawa mo ng decision, kaya either convicted ka or acquitted. Pero ako, on this basis na irregular, in fact, this should work to the benefit of the accused. If the decision is wrongly and badly worded,
So
na
yun yung
hindi
dapat
niya
leaning
napopruwebahan,
mo. Yeah.
yun yung leading ng error of the judge. If it's so badly worded, it's not based on law, then it's always for the accused, for acquittal of the accused, kasi hindi niya nga na-lay down yung basis. Kaya this is a curious case. I'll read up on this pa.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Pero
can see also, I mean,
ultimately,
kaya nga sabi ko, I will have na lang dino
acquittal
na
to.
lang here. Oh, we'll have na lang dino. Of course, Attorney Conti, I know you're talking way from the outside, but I'm just trying to understand as someone who, kasi kayo, ang dami mo hinahandle ng mga cases under, very difficult political circumstances. Gusto ko lang maintindihan na dun sa inyong karanasan, meron din ba kayong hinarap na ganitong sitwasyon na biglang iniiba, biglang may election, biglang ganon. Ang akin lang naman, okay, I'm all for hindi tayo magcast ng aspersions dun sa motivations or even yung basis ng Court of Appeals. But clearly, ginagamit ito ng mga certain interested groups, tawagin natin na DDS, to cast aspersions dun sa credibility ni Ma'am Laila De Lima. Katulad ng sinabi natin mga followers dito, klarong-klarong COMELEC na hindi maapektuhan yung proklamasyon ni Ma'am Leila De Lima. So tuloy-tuloy yung kanyang assumption of office, 'di ba? So that's clear. But ang issue kasi dito is gagamitin na naman siguro ng ibang tao ito para sabihin, si Leila ano yan, drug ano yan, hindi naman acquitted yan, 'di ba? So kaya nga mahalaga talaga magkaroon tayo ng clarification of facts of the case at ano yung mga technical and juridical implications ng itong remanding ng Commission on Elections. Kaya sabi ko, maging kasama naman ito sa anti-disinformation campaign because as early as right now, nakikita natin the troll farms are working this eh. Ayun pala, ano pala to eh, ganito na. And then yung false equivalence with the case of Harry Roque. I mean, I'm sure si Harry Roque may comment, may analysis na siya, di ba? Nakita mo ba yung analysis ni Harry Roque?
Ganun ba?
Magaling talaga si Harry. Like, right off the bat, si Dina, excuse me, wala kang moral ascendancy magsalita, umuwi ka.
Yeah, nakita ko yung kay
Bring Harry
Dino.
home. Bring Harry home. Bago ka magsalita, bago ka humaharada dyan, bumalik ka muna sa Pilipinas. Now, attorney, on a more serious note, it's not like we didn't see this coming. In fact, yung context ng ating mga conversations dito in Brussels, when we met, I also met the European Union people, dito sa London, sa France, etc., is of course yung concern nila sa Trump administration at yung assault ng Trump administration allegedly or at least ito yung perception ng iba, at least dun sa international rules-based order institutions. At isa dyan, of course, is yung ICC. I think people have to appreciate grabe yung risk na tinake ng ICC at particularly si Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan to go after basically the number one ally of the United States by any measure of the word. No offense to UK and other countries. So basically, yung nangyari is we had the Trump administration in its first iteration nag-impose ng sanctions, di ba? Including doon sa predecessor ni Karim Khan, doon sa, I think this was the issue of Afghanistan and alleged abuses by American soldiers. But this time, yung earlier this year, I think was it February, there was another new sanctions. And it looks like this sanction is just so crazy. Even yung emails nila, ay nahirapan sila gumamit. May mga American staffers daw ng ICC na parang natithreaten daw na baka they face arrest if they go home. Accounts are being frozen. Even some would say family members of some of the people involved could be affected. Um, Again, without giving ammunition to the bad people, do you see like the shop closing down or like what are the remedies for ICC to work this through? Kasi ang ganda naman ng building, social naman, mayaman naman ng Europe, di ba? It's not like, di ba? I mean, I've been there, I've seen it. I mean, you obviously have you go there much more regularly, but parang I don't see these shops closing down. Hindi naman sila mukhang kawawa. But again, I'm sure gagamitin na naman yan ng mga propagandists to say, ayan na, uwi na si Digong, sasara na yung ICC. I mean, hindi naman siya startup company, di ba?
Well, yeah, and also it's the ICC, I think, never received funding from the United States. So, medyo out of the picture yon kasi they never were part of the, well, they started or they were there during the discussions in Rome and even before. Pero nung nakita nila na yun nga, uy, mapapasok yung crimes against aggression, eh sila yung
Push time, di
maaakusahan
ba?
doon.
This is push
Umexit.
time. Yeah, exactly. This
Oo,
push time.
Mexi, sabi na, teka, exit na ako. Pero, true, mas yung ano nila is on the operations. In fact, there was some point, ang narinig ko, Microsoft, would they be able to use Microsoft, which is an American company's product? And would Microsoft be able to, kumbaga, would it be compelled to release or to submit its information to the American government? Buti na lang when you look at the text of the ICC sanctions bill and even the EO, it just really talks about blocking. So parang cutting off any support, cutting off any product. So yung iniisip kong maximum is that you cut off all ties with American companies or American money or American property. Ang hirap ding sabihin na with American people kasi ang nakalagay lang naman visa. Pero what if you're an American working for the ICC? Maybe your bank account in the US might be blocked, pero your bank account in the Netherlands might not be. So may ganun din. And then also there's this kumbaga connection, yung nexus. If you are connected to work that the ICC is doing. What if you're just simply someone who's accredited with a court? Kasi may mga ganun. So you can register with the court saying, well, I'm an expert. I am someone who knows something about international criminal law and I would like to be registered with the court. Pwede yon. The accreditation process, you just undergo it. Pwedeng wala kang kaso. And therefore, you're not assisting the ICC per se. Kumbaga, you're just naka-standby ka lang. Pwede yung ganon. Hindi mo pwedeng habulin yon kasi clearly the sanctions order says meron kang pag-alalay na ginagawa sa ICC. So, medyo limitado and I would say hype too much and inflated itong sanctions order ni Trump. At nung unang nga talaga, parang nagkakapaan, ano nga ba, paano nga ba? Tigil ba lahat? Paano ba? Pero parang bumabalik sila dun sa experience yung first, yung Trump first term. Ano bang tawag doon? Trump 1.0.
Yes.
So dun tinitingnan kung ano bang nangyari. And this, what happened was they just weren't able to enter the US. Mas ganon. Tapos parang, I don't know if Fatu Bensouda had properties in the US, pero definitely, taga-Ghana siya. So I guess not. So, bumalik na siya ng Africa at Sub-Saharan Africa. Bumalik na siya ng
The
Africa.
technical term, just to be clear, you can find it on the page of human. Parang ako sabi ko, ang
Oh,
salita nowadays, anything would be twisted. No, no, no.
ako,
So,
baka sabihin naman ako na yung nagsabi.
no, no, but Attorney, palitan natin yung topic. But Attorney Conti, balikan natin to. Um, Hindi kaya magkaroon ng secondary sanctions? For instance, like if ICC works with a European company and then that year, kasi yun yung ginagamit ng US to sanction Iran, Russia, now even Chinese companies are being targeted. Kasi you can imagine their levels kasi to sanction eh. Secondary
Mhm.
sanctions, ganun. It's good that you clarified. So, fingers crossed, hindi naman kayo maapektuhan. Kayo na nag-engage sa ICC. You're not a staff, you're not a bureaucrat there. You're just engaging the ICC in your capacity as an assistant counsel. Are you worried
Yeah.
on that front? Or like,
Well, pwedeng hindi na ako makapasok ng US ever. Pero okay lang naman, hindi ko pa naman pangarap mag-Disneyland.
parang para sa
Kaya,
yung Digong, no? Para wala kang pake sa US. US
okay.
is lousy yung ganun na parang, whatever.
Oh, walang visa, okay, sige. Pero ako din, tingin ko kasi dito sa Philippine situation, the case is here, the witnesses are here. Kumbaga, if you're just focused on this case, the case is here, the witnesses are here, the documents are here, some already with the ICC in The Hague. So medyo covered na kami. There's just some cause of concern for, okay, let's name it, Lorena Garma, who's with US Immigration. Pero bala na siya sa, I think, kaya naman yung paraanan niyang gagawin niya. Uh, but essentially, we can build the case without US participation or without US assistance. So, kung ICC case against Duterte, okay, okay. But on the larger, on a seeing the larger picture, of course, there is cause for concern. Kaya lang, I would say that the ICC, rather than be, kumbaga, grim about it na, oh, ano nang gagawin natin? Paano na tayo? They're just plodding on. So, whatever they can do. And in the way, yung parang retrofitting, so binabalikan nila, inaayos nila yung mechanisms, and I think they're moving away from American suppliers.
Chinese na software. Huawei na.
Kaya,
Mag-Huawei na silang lahat.
pwede. Ang iniisip ko nga lang, Apple, di ba? Would there come a time, but it's just a curious question, na parang would there come a time na employees, kumbaga, would be not exactly prohibited, pero would they be dissuaded from using Apple devices? Kasi that's clearly an American company. Not only because of the sanction, but also for the security. Kasi baka, we don't know, however,
Advice sila.
Apple may cooperate. Kaya actually, yun yung level up. So aside from the kumbaga, financial sanctions, so visa and property blocking, yun yung ano ngayon,
Intel also.
uh, ang level up yung security, gathering of information, even personal information and data. And then yung, ano pa ba yung isang sinasabi nila? Sa
What
database.
Yeah, database, email, I mean, all of those things. I mean, medyo US pa rin, medyo ang hirap nun ah. So, siguro ICC can learn from, I don't know, Russia, Iran, and China how to circumvent sanctions or operate. And that's a crazy situation. Now, I want to talk about this more. So, given na yung Trump and US really bearing down yung kanilang weight dito, I was in Hungary the other day before ako pumunta dito sa London. Hungary also withdraw from the ICC. Do you see this as part of a pattern or talagang ito yung mga MAGA, it's just a couple of MAGA guys just messing around and who knows? Kasi Hungary obvious naman kasi Viktor Orban, beshi ni Trump,
Mm.
if anything idol pa nila Trump si Viktor Orban. You know, Hungary is a very curious case, right? High welfare, high but very also conservative, right-wing populist. But kanina I was looking at nag-aaway pang Hungary and Poland eh. Foreign Minister Sikorski was fighting them. So I'm following very closely also yung mga fights dito sa London is no longer EU but sa loob ng European Union. I know we're stretching the conversation pero alam mo naman saan ako galing, di ba, Attorney Christian Conde? We're trying to dispel this disinformation na magsasara na itong startup company na to kasi ganun yung messaging eh. Uwi na si Digong, wala na yung ICC, wala na, yari na sila, umalis ng Hungary, ayaw ng US. But what you're saying is very manageable ito. This is gonna be hard, this is gonna be difficult, but these are things that could actually make them stronger in a Nietzschean sense.
Yeah, because it will quote-unquote future-proof them na kapag winidrahan sila ng ganitong superpower. In fact, none of the kumbaga, major superpowers are members of the ICC. China, India, US, Russia are not members of the ICC, pero they've continued on. So I'd say as long as you have a core of kumbaga, democratic countries supporting it, and so far we've seen the EU, well, there's Hungary, of course, na on the sidelines na. Pero you have Europe generally supporting the ICC. And at the least, kumbaga, last country standing, the Netherlands. has been a great supporter of the ICC, and even yung ICJ, Peace Palace, are based in the Netherlands. Kaya these European countries would be, I would say, the core of the ICC, both in terms of funding, but also in terms of, kumbaga, philosophical direction. Ano ang patunguhan, and then what would be the ICC's intentions and motivations in the future. Ang international criminal courts in general, sabihin na natin, no, in general, have always been, in hindsight, a good practice. Laging ganun na parang, oh, may nangyaring ganitong krimen, magagawa ba tayo ng court o kakalimutan na lang natin? Later on, kapag nag-iba yung, kumbaga, politics, nahimasmasan na yung mga tao, may pumasok na bagong henerasyon na, kumbaga, neutral na ang tingin dun sa nangyaring situation. Parang ang nakikita ko, some of the studies say that it would have been helpful if there was a court that litigated on the matter, or at the minimum, a commission that talked about the truth. Kumbaga, I'm not talking just of a truth commission kasi, pero a commission, an inquiry, or something where there was kumbaga, an intentional, kumbaga talagang ang gusto mo, alamin kung anong nangyari, an intentional review of what happened, whether it's a policy review or legislative review or I don't know, pwede ding judicial review, sana mas maayos yon. In the case of the Philippines, yun nga yung isang pinopoint out, that's what we did not do after martial law. And that is, from the eyes of many, a mistake.
Which brings us really to the latter part, and this is the important part. Yun ang sanang pag-usapan na natin last time before technical issues came in, which is, kailangan mo talaga ng kilusan, kailangan mo ng organization, kailangan mo i-mainstream, kailangan mo institutionalize itong human rights regimes, if you can put it that way. But before going there, although connected din to, just to clarify, kasi you took an issue with that Manila Times piece kanina lang, and you were also asking me, I mean, weird things happened to me. I had an ABC International interview pas na-quote ako from Davao. Like, I haven't been to Davao for quite some time. I would love to go. So parang medyo weird yung report. What is your issue primarily with the report? Is it that they didn't properly source and context it? And just to clarify, where do you stand on this argument? Again, sorry, we have done this multiple times. But again, dahil kakatapos lang ng elections, for the purpose of people, Bongo won, number one. Bato almost number two, very close with Bam. Um, well, I don't know about Sara's situation, but if you're Sara, you're feeling a little bit good kasi ang dami mga DDS na nakapasok or hindi, or, um, in terms of hierarchy of who do you think is most likely to face warrant of arrest, can you again clarify the context of your discussion and also your issue with that uh, piece by the Manila
Manila Times.
Times? Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're starting from the small things, kumbaga, initially, gusto ko na siyang i-overlook kasi baka, actually, there was an earlier statement that was taken out of context. I talked about a truth commission, and somebody pointed it out na, why are you calling for a truth commission? Napaisip ako, saan ko sinabi yun? It turns out, it was during a Q&A. So I was discussing something of import, yung primary, and then somebody says, what do you think of a truth commission? Well, yeah, I support it in general. But then if you have an article which turns it around and says, oh, that's the main point of her speech, or that was her main call for today, medyo mahirap yan because we're veering the conversation away from the main issues. So these things, these small pieces or small pockets, sabihin na natin, of this information contribute to a larger problem, and kumbaga avalanche na yan, parang mag-snowball yung issue. And I just realized that na it was, I should make it a big deal when, I think this was yesterday, I was on Arangkada Balita, and they were quoting me as saying that Duterte's responsibility was through command responsibility. Sabi ko, saan yan? It turns out, dun sa balita na yon, yun yung parang minesh niya. So, meron, tama naman yung ibang quotes, pero it was taken out of context, and biglang may pinasok na in his discussion, he talked about command responsibility, which I do not remember clearly attributing. Ang sinasabi ko, si Duterte, hindi lang siya dahil siya yung superior or dahil siya yung boss, dahil siya yung nag-utos. Hindi yung dahil hindi niya pinarusahan, alam niya tapos hindi niya pinarusahan, hindi siya yung nag-utos. So, co-perpetrator. So, anyway, if you have a misinformed public, if you have a disinformed public, at intentional yon para magkalituhan. And kung sakasakali pa, mag-away-away, which I'm seeing now in some areas in X, social media, yung, can I say this, yung parang liberal faction, medyo parang
Yeah, let's get the ball rolling.
come to head, yeah,
Punta
na
na tayo
parang
sa exciting part.
dati magkakaaway kayo, you would not see you. Ngayon, nagbati-bati kayo, bakit ganun? It just really divides, kasi di ba divide and conquer, it just really divides the quote-unquote opposition. And there is a claim now, who is the quote-unquote genuine opposition? And for me, uh, it's just a matter of semantics, sabihin na natin. True, some people can say, oh, we're the genuine opposition. We're the genuine opposition. But it all boils down how effective you would be. And for me, for us, and I've told you that I'm part of Bayan Muna, which is part of the Makabayan block. Although there might be some people, some individuals or some groups within the group, larger group, na sinasabing, oh, bakit magkakaaway kayo dati? All I've felt or all I've really been, kumbaga, part of decisions is that we should unite with as many forces as possible at hindi maging mapanghati. Kasi yan ang downfall ng anumang movement. Kapag hati-hati kayo, which is why, but I've seen yung some efforts, kumbaga, shatter. But I remember clearly there was this one year that the labor movement came together. So, kalimutan ko yung term nila pero Labor Unity Movement. So, you had TUCP, you had KMU, you had Sanlakas, you had Partido ng Manggagawa come together in one panel saying, we'll come together kapag May 1. Nangyari din yan. Ito, most recently, February 25. You saw all the groups almost pour in doon sa may EDSA area. And so we had programs from 1 o'clock to 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. So pwedeng magkaisa, kaya lang mahirapan kung may kanya-kanyang beef with each other. I know it's hard to sweep some things under the rug, pero we always have to look at who is the narrowest target. And right now, eto nga lang yung tanong, sino daw yung narrowest target ngayon? Si Duterte daw ba o si Marcos? If you look at it, in terms of people, yun talaga yung magiging appreciation mo. But if you look at it, say from an analysis na sino ba yung ruling class, pare-pareho lang naman yan. And therefore, our narrowest target is all those oligarchs, yung pangkalahatan. So at the same time that you're targeting Duterte, you should also be critical of Marcos. But that
Marcos is
does
the
not
president, so automatically we have to fiscalize him.
yeah, that you,
That's a
kaya
given.
sabi ng isang
I mean,
point,
he's the commander-in-chief. Yeah, of course. The buck stops
and
with
one
him.
po, yeah, and the one point is, how can you be opposition if you're not against the current president? Kasi kung pro-government ka, hindi ka opposition or hindi ka minority. Kaya feeling ko kailangan lang umupo, huminga, at sino ba talaga? Siguro may usapin lang ng varying, paano mo aatakihin ito, paano mo aatakihin yung ganito. And some alliances can be
Tactical,
forged.
tactical, tactical.
Yes,
Not
tactical alliances.
full-fledged. Yeah.
Oh, hindi yung magkakampit na tayo forever kasi alam mo naman sa politika at sa mga traditional politicians, their loyalty is always to their personal interests. Kaya lagi kang nakaabang na, oops, sorry, ano na pala to, balimbingan na pala, iwanan na sa ere. Yung ganyang, lagi natin pinagtatawanan yan, sorry ha, pero di ba yung, tingnan mo, oh, magkaiba ka na naman ng party, oh, dati magkakampi kayo. Sana hindi yan yung pinagtatawanan natin sa kanila na, oh, tingnan mo, pare-pareho lang din sila, balimbingan. Hindi din yun yung
Yeah.
masabi natin sa mga sarili natin.
Um, Attorney Conde, I mean, obviously, you see what's happening here, right? Kasi just on my own, in my own case, diba ako nagsimula ako sa West Philippine Sea issue and foreign policy issue. And then nangyari si Digong, na-realize ko, hindi ako pwede purong international affairs lang. So nag-focus na ako sa national. So purong populism, democracy, pinag-aralan ko. So eventually na-realize ko, for me to be useful, you have to have some public education, public thinker role, which obviously you can see what I'm implying here. kayo po, of course, ang pasok nyo sa public discussion is ukol dito sa issue ng human rights, karapatan pang tao, ICC, etc. But have you realized na parang increasingly, you're also being treated as a public educator, if you can use that term. Hindi ko na sabihin public intellectual, medyo Frenchy, pretentious yan. But you get what I'm saying? Kasi feeling ko uhaw na uhaw ang tao. I mean, hindi naman natin sinasabi na expert tayo sa lahat ng mga bagay, di ba? I mean, obviously, I'm not an expert in everything. I have some core expertise. And then yung ibang bagay, I just want informed discussion. Um, Are you being comfortable also having this kind of discussion? Kasi obviously, ang daming nagagalit sa akin because I'm making comments on tactical alliances, on sequencing. I'm bringing even Antonio Gramsci into may, war of maneuver, war of positioning. I know na overstretch ako and I get a lot of attack for that, but I just don't see any other way of doing it. Kung nandun na tayo sa arena, let's just do it. I mean, that's how Noam Chomsky started, right? Linguistics ang expertise niya. Next thing you know, anti-Vietnam War. Next thing you know, di ba? Are you feeling that also, Attorney Conti, na yung pressure for you, well, maybe not pressure, maybe yung
Speak.
incentive, yung moral duty for you to say things on other issues na labas dun sa core expertise mo. I just want to make it clear na I'm aware what's happening here now. In your case, na biglang, bakit si Attorney Conti, tinatanong na rin dito sa issue ng tactical alliance. But we have to, right? We have no choice.
Well, yeah, I would agree. Yung term pa nga, thought leader, or opinion leader. And opinion leaders traditionally sa communities, diba? Si barangay captain, until eventually we had social media. And actually, ito yung role ko din. So as a lawyer, well, I would admit this, na traditionally lawyers have been always thought of as thought leaders or opinion leaders. O, ano sabi ni attorney? O anong gagawin daw sabi ni attorney? Kaya in my case, especially that I am also handling other cases. So in my other public interest cases, nakakatch yung ganyang mga issue eh. Kaya minsan nga sa ibang interview, kapag pinag-uusapan dati yung eto ICC, biglang eksena yung jeepney. Ay, ako din, kaso ko din yan.
Yeah, and
So
wala
that,
kang choice kasi talaga na-cover mo yung case na yan, di ba? So,
oh,
it's not your fault. You're not claiming to be like hindi kasi alam natin yung criticism kay Harry, di ba? Parati niyang pinapasok sarili niya sa mga major issues. So we're just clarifying na hindi ito cloud chasing. Nagkataon lang talaga.
yeah. And if you have an informed, kumbaga hindi ka naman rumor mongering or inventing stories or off the top of your head. I mean, sometimes I would say I can't talk about that because I don't know much. But I mean, as a lawyer, if I can say something, then I will. But kung wala talaga, sorry, I can't say anything. So I think it would just be sobering to understand the limitations of your platform. And for me, for a time, morbidly enough, kumbaga, I fell into this rabbit hole of disgraced social media influencers. So may nakita ako mga ganun na ito yung
Welcome to my
picture. You
world.
remember? So, ang nakuha ko noon parang examples or parang lessons on what not to do or what not to. And ito yung time na, ito din yung ano ng cancel culture na parang bakit ba ganito? Tapos napunta na nga akong bini. Kasi yung statement nung tatlo na yung bini members and Ethan, Enrique, something na parang nakakausap. So, very sobering na as sabihin na natin, no, public figure, there are some times that people misunderstand na, oh, public figure, pwede mo nang i-invade yung kanilang privacy. So, for me, nagiging sobering yun and nagiging more conscious ako about things that I put out in the public sphere because that's an invitation for the public to come into my life. Kaya gano'n na lang siguro na hanggang dito, hindi na dun sa ibang parts.
Pero skin deep
Pero
ba? Kasi I ask you about your skincare. Is skin deep ang invitation?
napunta din ako dyan sa rabbit hole ng skincare.
Um,
Pero yeah,
yeah. Please,
yun
please.
lang, yung may limitations.
Okay, last part na talaga to. Um, the reason I also felt this perfect time to catch up kasi we wanted to talk about this yung discussions about Grand Coalition, 'di ba? Tactical alliances. But even before talking about that, ang aking again, I got into trouble for that, but unfortunately, I'm getting used to it na eh. Parang hinahanap mo talaga yung bashers once in a while. Bash nyo naman ako, parang, no, ako kasi I was looking at the numbers. A part of me nasa sayangan, for instance, in the case of Heidi Mendoza, I think she really had a good chance. I mean, she did just as well, almost as well in L2L corridor, LLC corridor. And feeling ko talaga if she were given more organizational platform support, yeah, I know kasama siya sa sample ballot dun sa, for instance, Naga and all. I give you credit and all. Pero parang I was hoping sana more all of them together with Bam and Kiko and all. Kasi obviously Heidi's problem was awareness at saka exposure. And wala talaga
Mhm.
siyang at least you guys have a long-term grassroots movement. Heidi just came out of nowhere, right? And yet still she got more votes than Willie Revilla, right? Which just tells you how big. So kanina I played lang yung isang interview na ginawa namin. Just to just para lang fair, no? And in fairness naman sa kanya, hindi naman siya nagreklamo. This is during campaign na parang inietsapuera siya or something. Ang point lang niya is parang it's parang yung attempt nila sa One Sambayan, 'di ba? Parang
Mhm.
medyo nagkaroon daw ng ano eh. And then if she was even realistic enough to say again, I suggest people to check it kasi resibo tayo lahat dito, resibo based tayo. Ano to, commissioner to. Basically, an idea also there was, naintindihan rin niya na yung iba worried na magiging competition pa kasi may pit, ilan na lang. In the end, it turned out it's not even close. Bam was easily number two, Kiko number five. Parang ang dami palang room. Willie was beatable pala, Bong Revilla was beatable, and
Tulfo,
Ben,
the
well,
second Tulfo.
actually, Ben was worried ever since naman. I feel bad kasi I said malaking chance niya. But I always said dahil hindi siya admin, he's not gonna have machine. And hindi rin siya in-endorse ng any big group. So I think nangyari siya doon. Yeah, you're right. So halos ang daming artista natalo. Pacquiao lost also big time. So it makes you think like, actually, parang may chance pala yung iba. And Bam and Kiko were safe pala. Now, obviously, we can blame the surveys because almost all surveys, alam mo, Christina, I mean, the only good survey I got was not even from a political pollster. It was from a consumer sentiment company. Hindi na natin sabihin sino yan. It's just the biggest company on that. Kuhang-kuha nila exactly top 5. And alam mo ang pinaka-interesting? Yung Gen Z daw. Bukas na bukas sa
Mm.
alternative information. So, social media is even higher than news media. Bukas na bukas sa pagbabago. So, ayaw nila ng artista, yung mga washed up artista na ganap ng retirement. So, kung nakita mo, nanalo yung mga DDS, pero nanalo din yung ibang progressive. And nanalo yung mga, almost nanalo yung iba na, or at least huge jump. Yung iba na walang name recall masyado or machinery. So, basically, ang point ko kasi dito is, I get the gets ko yan, na gets din ni Heidi naman in fairness on the record na siguro naisip ng dati kung isa lang dalawa makapasok, sige sorry na lang sa iba, next time na kayo. But at the same time, Lenny endorsed Pacquiao for a reason, right? Lenny endorsed Abalos for a reason, not because they were ideal, far from it, but because the understanding is that you rather have them than Aimee or Camille, right? Or even Lito Lapid, right? Now, very beatable apparently if you look at the numbers. Ikaw, anong basa mo doon? Kasi ako, again, I'm so happy na nakita natin may pag-asa talaga. I mean, well, you're from the other side, but Akbayan, we're very happy that Akbayan came number one.
Well, we're happy as
Oh
well.
yeah, you're happy as well. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. This is,
I mean, compared to the 30 youth.
yeah, Duterte yun, exactly, number
Kung the
one
30 youth ang nag-number one, just my Lord. Kaya
was
thankful kami for Akbayan for
exactly,
getting
and
those
I saw
titles.
from Teddy Casino, from Walden Bello, different people from the left of the center, clearly left of the center, coming out in solidarity. I just felt na medyo na kanya-kanya ng konti ang mga iba. I know I'm gonna be hated for this kasi everyone's saying, Richard, wag na tayo mag-intriga, tapos na, let's move forward. Ang akin lang, parang sayang yung opportunity. And if we don't learn the right lessons, baka we miss another great window to make it even bigger in the next elections na hindi lang dalawang magaling na senador, baka 10, baka 5, baka 3, 4. Kasi numbers came to it. Even if number 2 or 5 si Bam and Kiko, they're just 2 votes. You could have got 5 votes na at least hindi pro Duterte, right? Na hindi factotum or questionable. So, ikaw anong basa mo dyan, Attorney Con? Are you on the side na let's take the win and just move from there, or like parang sayang naman, or somewhere in the middle, which is let's take the win but let's also realize we could have done better and let's do better next.
Well, sa there's been debates about that. Gusto ba nating manalo o gusto ba nating magkampanya or mag-educate? And it's always, ano to, a balancing act. Kailangan, it has to be a bit of both. Hindi yung tatakbo ka lang para manalo just to gain that position. Because precisely from our point of view, uh, yes, it's good to have that position, but ano yung, kumbaga, kapalit? Kung ang kapalit nun, papasok ka sa administration slate or something, or ganito. I think we've had experiences and lessons from previous elections. Now, ganito yung ginawa dati, ganito yung ginawa, ganyan. And for these elections, one emphasis on the part of the Makabayan Bloc was to bring the issues to the forefront. Medyo talagang ang bigat para sa amin yung last time na ang mga nanalo, yung sasayaw, mangangako ng ganito, magpapatawa, mamimigay ng jacket o mamimigay ng t-shirt, na parang grabe, nakalimutan na ng mga tao yung issue. For, and this one, no, kumbaga, this part of the group one na we should put out issues of the people to the forefront. Kaya kung mapansin mo sa Makabayan, very intentional, the candidates came from the groups. Okay. On the other hand, there were also those who pointed out, uy, anong ginawa niyo? Sana nag-ano na lang, parang unofficial alliance na half-half. Kumaga, there's also Calyodi, there's also Heidi, ganyan. Parang
Look,
pagsama-samahin
Espiritu, yeah.
natin. Mhm. What if mag-usap na lang kayo? I don't know. Ito, kumbaga hindi abot ng clearance level ko yun. I don't know if there were
I understand.
efforts.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the
Talk,
spot.
di ba?
But okay, to the degree you can say at your clearance
Yeah.
level.
Pero yung gano'n na kung pinag-usapan ba talaga. Pero on the part of Makabayan Block, hindi naman talaga, kumbaga, hindi lang yung pagpanalo yung importante. Importante na na magamit na platform yung election para ilagay yung issue ng mamamayan to the forefront. And we're thankful that we had an incredible turnout for sino ba to? Si Kamodi sa Piston, Chuper, hindi siya umabot ng milyon, pero parang umabot ng 800,000, 500,000 yung votes. And that's incredible. Yung impact siguro, sa long term, doon nakikita namin yung impact that it is possible for the ordinary Filipino to run for office and mount a credible campaign. Kaya for me, some form of, kumbaga, consuelo de bobo na, yung mga nakikita kong reviews, sabi nila, and kung sino man to, hindi ko na like kaagad sa ex. Sabi niya, yung Makabayan, maganda daw yung SOCMED designs. Na-appreciate niya yon. So sabi ko, wow, okay.
Actually, yung
And
iba,
that helped.
sorry, I'm sorry to say, yung iba like, oh, Makabayan pala to. Like, I'm so sorry kasi usually, but
Okay.
the usual tibak thing. Alam mo naman tayo sa UP, like sanay tayo the usual tibak
Ra,
aesthetics.
ra, ra.
Eh, just in that
Okay.
way, oh, parang medyo Tiffany color, medyo gano'n, like,
Yeah.
galing. I was very impressed. You're right. Good observation.
Yeah, so ako, yun na lang, para consuelo, di ba? Oh yeah, oh. And it helps not only for the elections, but also for other campaigns. So, on one part, sabi nga ng Makabayan, tagumpay pa rin ito para sa amin kasi magigauge mo at ang dami naming naabot. Iba kasi pag election, yung mga tao makikinig, alam nila at bibigyan nila ng panahon yung nagsasalita at nagiging mas critical. On the other hand, yun nga, yung parang pag-uusap, maganda din siguro. Pero if you do note, Bakabayan only fielded 11 candidates, so one slot was free. So that slot, although walang official, kumbaga, endorsement, obviously went to other progressive candidates. Lilinawin ko na hindi yung 12 slot, walang Camille Villar doon. Walang Manny Pacquiao, walang ano.
Ben
That
Tulfo,
slot
good
went
morning,
to
good morning.
progressive candidates.
Good morning, Ben Tulfo. Galing Sir Ben sa akin. Like, oh my God, I feel pero na false hope ko sila. But honestly, I prefer Ben Tulfo than who, right? Or yung isa pa. Like, I mean, I'm just saying that this is purgatory to seventh circle, which is really the really last thing I want to ask you. Because I publicly disagreed in a nice way with Walden Bello, of course, mentor natin yan throughout the years, etc. Um, ang akin lang kasi is, of course, he warned na dapat ingat ang third force ng tawag niya. I would say, yeah, that would be a very optimistic way of looking at it kasi medyo numbers-wise ang liit pa rin eh. But still, sige, sabihin natin for the sake of argument, it's the kingmaker, the third force, whatever. Ingat daw to form a coalition with BBM against Duterte and all. Ang point ko lang naman dito is, first of all, I mean, simple lang yan eh. Pag makabalik ang mga Duterte, yari lahat. As in, basically, yari lahat. I think Akbayan got zero in 2019. Ocho Derecho was zero in 2019. You guys got red tag right and left, right? Practically all of us were getting death threats right and left. And iba yung getting death threats nowadays from then. Kasi then, nasa poder sila eh. You feel the fear. It's like staring you from Malacanang straight, diba? So it's one thing to get persona non grata from some trapos somewhere, but it's another thing, being threatened directly by guys who control Malacanang. So, ang akin lang is, I think sometimes yes, it's nice to be very clear about conviction politics, your red lines. I'm 100% for that. I also believe in tactical alliances. I also believe in sequencing. I also believe when you're in a two-front war, you cannot fight them at both at the same time, and at the same time, you cannot not fight any fight. So, I mean, kaya nga for me, idol ko si Antonio Gramsci, right? I mean, he would talk about war of position, war of maneuver, etc. So, kumbaga, like a realist progressivism, yun ang aking paniniwala.
Mm.
Given how things could get even worse. Kasi sabi ko, BBM will criticize him on multiple fronts. I mean, every other day we're making jokes about BBM, diffident, not doing this, not doing that. Ang joke pa nga ngayon, pati yung slogan niya, ninakaw niya sa mga yung sa gobyernong tapat, di ba? Sabi niya pati ba
Oo.
slogan na like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like we're blind to shortcomings of this admin. Every day we're calling this out, but mas ayoko na maging blind tayo so what a return of Duterte's could mean. Honestly, I could see a red wedding situation, basically. I mean, I don't know if people watch the Game of Thrones. It's not like the Dutertes are hiding that threat. I mean, it's not like you
Mhm.
haven't seen the CCTV of Polong. I mean, like, what else are you looking for an evidence to realize? Kung Dante Alighieri to, there's a purgatory, there's seventh circle of hell, and sometimes you have to move away level by level, right? I don't know. Am I coming off as a masyadong pragmatic, liberal something? Because I'm very critical of liberals myself, but I don't want to sound like this masyadong, kasi yun nga yung criticism ko na napakapakit naman yung mga candidates. Well, it worked for them now, nag-top 5 sila, but honestly, anong sinabi nila sa ICC issues, sa West Philippine Sea issue? Halos wala. Kaya nga nanalo si Bongo eh. Bongo got away.
Mm.
No one held him accountable. So I'm happy that Bami's number 2, Kiko is number 5, whatever, but look at number 1 and number 3 and number this and number that. Those guys got away. No one held them accountable. No one questioned them. So purong, cute messaging. I don't know. Am I being masyado ba tayong paranoid, Attorney Conti? Because you are someone who was also at the forefront of the all the attacks and threats during Digong, so kung may Trump 1.0, some would say it would be even worse if Duterte's come back. Obviously not the old man, but the kids, right?
Well, yeah, I would agree. Again, sabi ko nga, sa group din namin, may ganyan na nagsasabing, well, we need to win. Kasi if we don't, apatayin tayo, uubusin tayo, which has happened to some degree. Kaya nga itong bayan muna, um, parang talagang naubusan na lang talaga ng supporters. Kasi to the very last minute, I've mentioned that in our previous conversation, in-announce na disqualified as a last-minute black prop. Parang grabe din talaga yung efforts. But anyway, so there's groups that say, we need to talk. And for me, it might not be during the elections. So what one during the elections, yung kumbaga yung prevailing parang platform or prevailing parang modus operandi was, well, we view this from a kumbaga progressive point of view, from ano to, yung normative, what should be. Ito dapat ang pagpapatakbo ng eleksyon, ito dapat ang mga issue. But then, you have the rest of the time. And maybe now is the time to start talking among ourselves. Ano ang dapat gawin? And clearly, we've not been remiss on that with as regards Duterte Panagutin. So there's one sambayan, isang bayan na buhay pa rin. In fact, in other areas, yun nga yung mas kilala kaysa sa mga different factions or different groups. Ako, sambayan ako. For the Duterte case, we have Duterte Panagutin. We're envisioning it to be a massive and very broad alliance against all crimes of the Dutertes. And dito, we're trying to bring in everybody. Laila de Lima is one of the conveners. Who else? Father Flavi, Karapatan, Rise Up. We are part of this, and so forth. And that's where Dino and I work together sa Duterte Panagutin Network. So, I would say there are efforts. Ang tanong lang siguro, in the long run, would this be enough to stave off a Sara Duterte red wedding situation in 2028? There's still time. Ang sabi nga din nila, di ba, ano na ba ngayon? 2 days, 3 days after the elections? 4 days after the elections, ito na ang simula ng kampanya para sa susunod na eleksyon. Dapat tayo din. Gusto kong kunin, kung meron akong gustong kunin na mindset from the trapos or the traditionals and the ruling class talaga, yon na kailangan ng paghandaan yung susunod na eleksyon. I guess, ako kagagaling ko lang ng meeting. And in these meetings, may ganun na talagang tunguhin. Paano natin i-address yung mga naiwang issues, especially the ICC case and Sara Duterte's impeachment. And we're seeing how we can support or how we can assist accountability measures all over.
We're really gonna end on this point. Kasi feeling ko kailangan talaga ilabas na to eh. I was analyzing this and again, I don't know if I've told you before kasi yung basa ko after 2022 election, sabi ko, kailangan natin ng post-mortem. Kailangan natin harapin yung mga pagkakulang natin. And then I was talking about the Latin American pink wave, no? For all the criticism you can make of the Latin American pink wave, it was still a huge, di ba? Stride for the progressive movement or at least na prevent yung return of neoliberal, fascist, proto-fascist kind of guys. People are my agers now. Boric is now the president of Chile. You know, in Colombia, you have a very progressive mayor of Bogota now becoming. So, and then someone told me from inside the liberal circles, Attorney Conde, sabi niya, alam mo Richard, agree ako sa'yo, ang problema lang, um, yung estilo mo or yung mga gusto mong mangyari is applicable sa mga ganitong kultura. Kasi sa kanila, normal yung Carino Brutal eh. Yung magsasalpakan kayo, Latino, and then maghahalikan kayo after this, inom kayo, okay na. Sabi niya, pag sa Pilipinas, may sinabihan ka ng isang tao, tapos parang feeling niya napahiya siya, wala na yan. Cancelled ka na. Hindi na. Or yung ibang titas of Manila, baka may masabi ka, mainis na sila, good luck na lang. The spigot will be closed. So, suddenly I came up with this idea of microculture, political microculture. Yung talagang level, one-to-one person level. And sabi ko, yun din ang kailangan natin ayusin. Like, I mean, you can see me, like, nakausap ko kayo, Teddy Casino was here, Franz Castro was here. I talked to Bam. I talked to, I realize not everyone is my fan, to put it mildly. I know na many people naiinis sa akin or whatever. But sabi ko, at least I try to have that micro level engagement and also gauge ano yung comfort level. Kasi feeling ko kung ganyan tayo, yung passive-aggressive tayo or we're not willing na harapin. I know I'm sounding like Freud, di ba? But if we're not willing to confront the trauma, right? If we're not willing to be able to say the truth and then work it from there, ang worry ko is stuck talaga tayo forever. I mean, ang dami kong beses na minention isang bagay, parang wala nang gustong sumagot. Or, I mean, even off the record, it's not even on the record. Na parang, ay, wag na natin pag-usapan. Yung mga ganun. And sabi ko, wala na mangyari sa atin because ang kalaban mo is ruling class who have no choice to work with each other kasi ang usapin dito is they want to keep their resources, their money, and influence. So, practical consideration forces them to work together. Eh tayo na walang resources, the only thing that will make us work together is our ideals, our aspirations for a better Philippines. But if we're not willing to, ay baka masaktan siya, baka ma-hurt siya, maganon siya, we're not gonna mature. So feeling ko, in short, microculture natin hindi pa ganun ka-mature. Because I see a lot of
Yeah.
ego. I have an ego too, sure. But I'm willing to take criticism and I'm not gonna hate you for criticizing me. I'll welcome that. I enjoy that. Pero kung puro tayong pikon, yung ganon, ang hirap nan. I just don't see how we're gonna grow up. Or 20 years ago, may disagreement tayo in this forum. Or may sinulat kang article, mga ganon. Kaya sabi ko yung iba, mag-social media kayo para yung immunity niyo aakyat for bashing. Kasi once you get used to bashing, you welcome debates. Yung iba parang they cannot even take a slight criticism. And yun talaga, I'm really worried about that. Having said that, what makes me optimistic is I think the Gen Zs, kailangan natin pag-aralan. It looks like they're looking for something new. I'm very encouraged. I met at least one of the titas of Manila recently, and sabi niya nakikinig na din daw siya sa podcast ko where I criticize their way of doing things. That the usual dilawan whatever. So sabi ko baka naman may movement, and then purong talo yung mga buduts, mga hep-hep huray. So that gives me hope. Pero yun nga, you have to push it eh. Kaya alam ko marami nagagalit sa akin for raising these questions and all. Pero kailangan natin ng real talk kasi parang kumbaga, parang gear 2 pa lang tayo. Wag tayo happy lang dito. We can go sports gear. Like, sorry for the male reference point to cars. But nasasayangan ako because we have shown we can do so much as progressives and all. I mean, just look at you and I, Attorney Conti. Like, who would have thought that like millions of people will watch just our post on social media and all? We're talking about technical ICC issue and all. That means uhaw na uhaw ang tao sa tunay at saka magandang pagbabago, including mga magandang diskusyon ukol sa pagbabago.
Yeah, I agree. Dun sa microculture, ang sabi nga, sa Pilipinas maraming madamdamin. And I've had that, people, kumbaga, avoiding me kasi parang may nasabi daw ako dati where I don't have any recollection of our personal, kumbaga, interaction. Or, baka medyo specific na, but in one case where I helped in fact-finding lang, galit siya sa akin, ayaw niya na akong kausapin, tapos tinatalikuran ako kasi ganito daw, ganyan. Sabi ko, kumbaga, I did not find any wrongdoing. I just helped in the fact-finding. Hindi ako, kumbaga, ang nag-pass upon dun sa facts na hinanap ko. But in any case, may ganun talagang generational characteristic, yung naunang generation, which gives me hope as well. True yan, yung real talk nasa younger generation. And ang tawag nga nila healing the, parang breaking the cycle. Ang tawag dyan mga bata, parang breaking the cycle of toxic parenting or yung pakiramdaman, di ba, na tsaka yung magka-clam up ka na, galit ako kay mama, hindi ko siya papansinin. Para alam niyang galit, or si mama pala galit sa akin kasi hindi niya ako kinakausap. Kaya wini-welcome ko yung kahit paano, ito yung naging value yung SOCMED, na ang importante dito, puksaan ang tawag, di ba? Puksaan, harapan,
Patagulan.
real talk, bakit ka ganun talaga Kaya, ito yung isang lumalabas sa FYP ko. FYP, no? Pero, or sa YouTube ba? Ano ba tawag doon sa YouTube? Yung sorry, pero ano to, soap opera naman. Kung nanood kayo ng Dr. Foster, The Marriage, The World of the Married, and yung dito sa Pilipinas, that was very refreshing, or in a way, counterculture sa atin. Yung kinonfront ni Dr. Jill, yung kabit ng asawa niya, at dinisclose niya sa isang dinner, sabi ni Dr. Jill na, alam niyo ba na ang asawa ko ay kabit ng anak niyo? Tapos yung magulang niya, parang, ha? Ano ito? Na parang, teka, alisan na. Parang, pero hindi, tinuloy yung confrontation and they had that truth out there in that dinner. So I think yun yung intention din, actually, even with the war on drugs, yun yung intention ng Truth Commission. And with the martial law, that's what we missed. The opportunity to tell the truth of what happened so that we can cut out the bad parts, confront it head on, hindi yung, hindi okay lang kasi wag na natin sinampakan naman kasi kawawa naman, matanda na. Okay lang, pabayaan mo na kasi buhay naman ako, tingnan mo. Kahit na-rape ako dati, okay lang kasi okay naman, naging ganito naman ang buhay natin. Yung real
Learnings na
talking.
lang, learnings, parang purong ganun na lang. Parang,
Oh, yung real talking, buti na lang, I'm seeing this from the Gen Z generation, actually a little bit from the millennial generation, na you have to confront things head on. Hindi na pwede yung, boss, pwede ba akong magkaroon ng raise? Boss, hindi. You have to put it on paper. You have to ask for what you want. And what's important is, and this should cut across the generations, you should know what you deserve. Kasi sabi nga nila pag-election, di ba, you get the people or you get the politicians that you deserve. And if you don't know that you deserve good governance, if you think that you do not deserve great public service, then yan yung iboboto mo. Kaya may konting glimmers of hope, but we're not yet completely there.
absolutely.
Hopefully, hindi tayo mag-regress or ano man tawag, backslide.
Definitely backslide. I'm gonna be careful with things I say. No, ako lang, I hope there'll be also generational bridging. Generally, napansin ko, again, maybe I'm wrong with this. Napansin ko, like, millennials, ito yung startup generation, di ba? Pushing the boundaries. Gen Z, very honest. They don't buy the... And then napansin ko, Gen X yung pinaka-sociable, collegial, and, actually, Gen X are the ones holding the...
Mapanghamig.
Yeah, I think Gen X are holding this world together, to be honest. Because millennials are pushing the boundaries. Gen Z, a lot of them are very skeptical. Boomers are entitled, basically Donald Trumps of this world, etc. So actually, it has fallen basically on Gen X to be the what I call the linchpin generation. So I'm hoping at the microculture level, we'll see more people of Gen X bridging, I don't know, millennials or Gen Zs with the, hindi lang madam, may yung mga mademoiselle pa, may mga, may levels pa eh. May madam, may mademoiselle level. Yun ang mga Karens of Manila, di ba? Kasi we need that eh. At the end of the day, ang katotohanan dito is, ang pera and resources are with them, or at least platforms are with them. Of course, we are building our own platforms, our own resources. But at the end of the day, we have to come and work together eh. Otherwise, ang kalaban mo yung ruling class na kapitalista, na komprador and everything. It's gonna be very hard to beat that or at least to tame that. So, yeah, maybe ito rin ang hinihingi ko sa mga Gen X. Please bridge it between the younger and the older generations para we can deal with these microculture issues. Kaya mahalaga talaga yung role ng mga Gen X. Kaya shoutout kay Atom, yung aking Gen X na kaibigan. Kasi kami ni Atom Aurelio, parati nag-joke kami. Hoy, ikaw Gen X ka, hindi ka millennial. Like, but on that note, mabait kasi siya.
Hindi, sabit
Mabait siya.
kami.
Mabait kasi ang...
Sabit kami sa millennial.
Oh, yun nga. Kayo yung mga sabit na generation.
Sabit, pwede na.
Yeah. But I can see the mix of both, diba? May millennial openness, but also there's that collegiality and yung responsible bridging element. So on that sociological note, grabe kung saan tayo umabot no from Harry Roque's extradition, umabot tayo ng Latin American microculture. Yun ang na-appreciate ko sa discussion natin, no? Very wide-ranging. Maraming salamat, Attorney Christina Conti. Don't worry, I'll be disturbing you more. Hopefully, we can do in person also soon. Please take care of yourself. Mabuhay ka. Continue to do what you're doing and continue to be bashed online. That's always good for your immunity. Believe me, at some point, hanapin mo yan. Like, bakit wala nagbabash sa akin? Para may mali. Wala akong ginagawa. Attorney Conti, is there something that people, again, for the purpose of those, this is the first time they've heard about you or they like you even more after hearing our discussion today, where can people follow you and are there recent works or advocacies na pwede tumulong ng tao, mag-volunteer? Because at the end of the day, sabi nga, lahat tayo dapat mag-pitch in in whichever capacity.
Oh yeah. So I work with the National Union of People's Lawyers. Our website is nupl.net. Oh, simple lang. So nupl.net. But personally, I have Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, pero walang kwenta yun. Hopefully, I will be more on TikTok as Christina Conti or Chronic Crisis or Chronic Crisis. And just recently, we put out this from Rise Up and NUPL, we put out this statement about the ICC case. So, nilay-out na namin yung mga schedules. And hopefully, yung recent requests of the defense will not delay the proceedings. Sana, and tingin naman namin yung ICC is setting deadlines that will ensure that we meet the September 23rd, kumaga quote-unquote deadline na mag-hearing ng araw na yon. And in the end, kumbaga, para isarado lang natin, we're still learning, but on our part, sabi nga in general, wala akong big quotes, pero from the art of war, Sun Tzu tayo. Parang, it's more of, you should know who you are, and then you should know the enemy. Sabi nga, know thy enemy. And when you fight, you have to fight smart. So hopefully, that's what we learned through the years. Hindi lang dahil inaaway ka, kailangan mong fight back. But you know yourself, you know how to fight, and you can fight smart.
Okay, I was about to quote Kim Kardashian, but I'll keep that quote to myself. Kasi Kim Kardashian is a skincare billionaire company owner, so I learned a lot from her on many things.
Ah,
Thank you so much.
Selena Gomez.
I love her on immigration and all, palaban siya. I didn't know because I love to quote our new pope. I love the guy. He's amazing. Attorney, thank you so much again. Maraming salamat. Tuloy-tuloy ang laban, and hopefully next time we'll have more discussion on skincare, skin deep discussions. To the degree that you're comfortable with kasi marami pa rin na interested sa mga bagay na yan. I think at the end of the day, relatability is important because people want to feel na hindi ka above feeling mo kung sino ka because we're all just ordinary Filipinos. It just happens some of us are more in the ring than the others, but it is what it is. Mabuhay ka, Attorney Christina Conti, and talk to you soon. Ginagawa na natin press conference to, like
Oo
every
nga.
month. Every month. Oh, ang dami mga issues. Let's answer them one by one. So this is our press conference basically. Salamat. Talk to you soon po.
Thank you, ingat.
God bless.